went out, met at a restaurant, we had food, whatever. And I forget exactly what she said, but she was like, hey, you wanna have sex? And I was like, I think I laughed at her at first. I wasn't expecting that. As I left, he was like, you serious? She's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, let's get out of here. Let's go.
Check, please.
And she's looking at me. All right, it's missionary, whatever.
All right.
And I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden, she slaps me. And I was like, I just stopped. And it wasn't slapped because she was upset. It was, I guess, her being in the mood. But I was like, I've never been slapped in my face before. And I was like, are you kidding me?
So
like,
you stopped.
Yeah, it killed the mood for me. Like, what you need is comment cards.
Comment cards?
Yeah. Once you finish, I was like, can you fill this out for me? And like, tell me how I did on a scale of 1 to 5. And would you refer me to your friends?
When it comes to sex, I like what I like, right? And I ask in the moment because it's like, that's when I had a situation with 2 friends that I've known now for a very long time. They're now married, and we tried to have like a threesome thing, and
go on.
that.
Welcome to Today in My Life, a podcast humanizing life, love, and laughter. I am your host, King Smith, and today is a good day for me. So in this episode, it is a kind of a continuation, if you will, of a dating episode that I put out a few weeks ago, which I'd like to thank you guys, the audience, for blowing it up. I have a return guest back, the guy that was on my first dating podcast, Mr. Sean. Also with me today is a special guest, the lovely lady Brittany. So Sean, how's it going, brother?
I'm doing good.
Hey, thanks for coming back on my podcast. Did you envision that it would blow up that quick, that fast?
I did not. I didn't think it'd be that big. I'm surprised still.
That's what she said. And you guys heard Britt. Hey, Britt.
Hey.
How you doing, lady?
Good.
Thanks for coming on my podcast.
Thanks for having me on. After you asked me, I went and listened to the episode, and I was super excited to come on and give a female, or at least my perspective to dating.
Great, because, that was something that I was hoping for. As I was thinking about filming this episode and doing this episode, I wanted that different perspective. And I'm going to be real with you. You were the first person who I asked.
Aww.
So I'm glad that you said yes. Because that made it easy. I didn't have to figure out or contact anybody else. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's very flattering.
So this episode's about dating, guys and gals. Funny story. Britt and I went out on one date. Now, Britt, be honest. How was the one date that me and you went on?
I actually had fun. I thought we got along well. We went to eat and had drinks at a nice spot downtown. A nice, like, kind of hip, I guess you would call it, restaurant. I don't usually use that word, but like a nice restaurant. And then I thought it was even more fun because you said, hey, I'm a stand-up comedian. There's I think it was like an anniversary show, right, going on down the street. Mm-hmm. You want to go with me? And I was like, absolutely. I like dates that are a little out of the ordinary. I thought that was fun. It was kind of cool, too, because people were like hyping you up because you're a comedian. They're all comedians. You didn't sign up to go on that night. There was a huge set list going on, right?
It was.
There was a ton of people because it was an anniversary show. But, because people could tell you were on a date, guys kept coming up and saying, like, oh, King's such a good guy. King's such a good man.
That night.
He's so funny. And, like, but that was cool to me. It was, like, kind of go with the flow. Like, we planned the dinner, but it was, like, kind of go with the flow. You drive a fast car, like, that's kind of a turn on for me, like a fast hot rod type car. So I was like, this is cool. So, yeah, I had fun.
What would you think of that same guy if I told you that he now drives a Ford Fusion hybrid?
Dad alert. I mean, you
where his balls at? How many balls?
Do you, though?
Yes, I do. I traded in the Dodge Charger, a.k.a. the chick magnet, for a 2020 Ford Fusion hybrid.
I mean, it's not a Ford Flex or, whatever, but you're being earth eco-conscious. Like, that. There's something kind of sexy in that, too, I guess.
Kind of sexy. Does it get cool points in the dating scene if on my dating profile I had drives a hybrid?
No, not for me. But the fact that you just have a car automatically puts you above like a ton of people I have met on the dating sites.
That's a low bar.
You don't even know. You don't even know how low my bar is right now. That's not.
Is that bar above sea level?
You know, we all in this room have experience with dating apps. Now, I'm actually gonna throw a little bit more into this. I came out of a 12-year marriage, and dating apps weren't a thing. So for me, it's like, oh, you got these dating apps. You can go on, you can swipe, you can meet people, you can see the pictures and things like that. You know, but there's like the ones that lead the marketplace, if you will. So with that kind of frame of mind, you know, we've talked in the prior episode that, you know, you're on dating apps. What's your go-to dating app and why?
All right. So my number one go-to dating app, not because it's good, just because it's easy and it's just user-friendly, is Tinder. The swipe left, swipe right, it's hard to get that wrong. Now, if you have Bumble, it's easy to get that wrong because instead of swiping right, to look at their pictures on Tinder, you gotta like press right or press left. But if you go on Bumble, you have to swipe up to go through their pictures. So on Tinder, when you swipe up, you super like them, and then you end up wasting a super like or whatever it is. Which I've noticed a lot of girls that put in a profile, if I super liked you by accident, and I was like, no, it wasn't. You liked me. Super.
You liked me super a lot.
Exactly. But to kind of like break them down. So for me, Tinder, you're going to find pretty much anyone on Tinder. You're going to find your OnlyFans girls on there just trying to sell, you know, their OnlyFans sites. You're going to find some older people like moms like that. Lots of moms, actually. Lots of females with single moms. It's the whole gambit on there. Then when you go to Bumble, you find people that you feel are a bit more real, a bit more looking for an actual like relationship. But then recently, my newest one I'm on is Hinge. And Hinge, like, people seem really like looking for a relationship. The BS is really low on that, you know. They're not there to like to flash like, you know, the skins like that. They're looking for relationships. So if you're looking for fun, Tinder. If you're looking for in between, Bumble. If you're looking for something serious, go to Hinge.
So I don't have any experience on Hinge. How is Hinge different?
Hinge isn't that much different. So you still post pictures on there, you scroll through pictures, but you can't really type anything under the pictures. They have pre-selected sayings or little funny things you can put with the picture, like, guess where this photo was taken, or guess how many times it took me to post this picture, whatever it was, you know? But you still have your blurb of like how old you are, where you're from, do you drink, do you smoke, do you do drugs, which I still think is a weird thing to put on dating apps. But I guess it's important. They kind of keep it simple, and it works. So you don't give away too much. And a lot of people I've seen, they put in their profiles like, hey, I don't know what to put in my profile, or just ask me about it and we'll talk. But with Hinge, they seem to find a good balance of just a little bit, and then it helps you lead into more. So with conversation, if you match.
Okay. Britt, same question. What's your go-to dating app if you're using them now? And what's your experience on them?
So I, too, have cycled through pretty much all of the apps. In the past, I've had Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Plenty of Fish, OkCupid,
Grindr.
I don't think I am acceptable in the Grindr app, but, you know, I'm on Hinge, right? Oh, and Facebook dating. That's the one I was trying to think of.
Facebook dating. That's pretty new. That's pretty new.
Yeah,
I haven't tried that one. I'm afraid.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But I agree. I do find that I get more matches on Tinder of any of the other apps, but I don't necessarily know that quality or quantity is better than quality, right? For what I'm looking for, which is an actual relationship, which that's a whole other topic. I do agree. Tinder is the most user-friendly. We all know swipe right, swipe left. Guys do it too with the accidental super like thing. So
That's fake news.
I'm on Bumble right now. I literally just got Bumble maybe 2 or 3 days ago again after not having it for a while. I find now with the recent features on Bumble, you can actually filter. So I have filtered out conservatives.
Okay.
Because I was
Trump supporters.
Yeah. And I find I'm actually getting less matches on Bumble now than I used to.
Ooh.
But when I message, I'm getting 9 out of 10 responses back.
Okay.
And most of them are quality responses. You still get those people, and I think this is on both sides because I've talked to many people who complain about this, but those people who just don't know how to hold a conversation. And that's annoying. But I would honestly say Bumble because I'm not a shy kind of girl. If you guys can't tell from King, you've known me a while, but Sean just met me tonight, and I'm not that shy. So to send a first message is not a problem to me. I have noticed on some other apps when I send a first message, I have been like unmatched, because I think some guys do like taking the initiative, and they didn't like that I was like that. I don't know. That was just my assumption.
Gotcha.
I don't know for sure, right? Maybe they were like, oh, I actually didn't mean to like her, and now she messaged me. I don't know. But so I would say Bumble right now.
For me, I like Bumble because I started to adopt the phrase, who like me, right? So on Bumble, for those of y'all that might be under a rock and don't know, the ladies have to be the initiator of the conversation. When you match, you have, is it 24 hours?
Yeah.
To write the guy, something first. And if it was just, hey, personally, I was never interested. Is your intro message more than just a hey? And if it is, like, what do you try to put in your message when you like, I like this guy enough that, you know what, I want to see if there's something there?
Good question. So the first time I had Bumble, I literally would just say, hey, how are you? To everybody. Unless I was super drunk. And in that case, it would probably be some random thing that I didn't remember saying.
A bunch of letters.
The next day.
ASLQ 9.
But lately, I was like, you know what? I have heard feedback from guys, even though they don't like it when a girl says, say more than just hey. I'm fine if a guy just says hey to me. I don't care. Because if you came up to me in real life, you wouldn't go, hey, baby, you probably would actually. Like, hey, baby, what's your size?
Do.
Some people do.
I've
You're
seen
right.
that.
You're
It's
right.
crazy.
But, like, you normally just start with, I do, like, hey, I really like your shirt. That's funny. Or, I noticed something about the person to bring up a conversation. So I don't expect much more than that from guys. But I was like, you know what? I should put a little more into this. So lately I have been saying, hey, how are you? And then I have asked for recommendations for songs to add to my gym list.
Okay.
On Spotify. Just as a little, like, hey, I work out. I know I look thick, but I do work out, right? It's like a kind of hint towards that. And also, music's really important to me, so like let's see where you are with that, and can you give me a recommendation? And it was funny because one guy responded with like, I can't just pick one favorite, I'm gonna give you 5.
Oh.
And I'm like that, I can't pick just one thing. So I told him, I was like, I appreciate that, I'm that way too, I'm gonna add him to my list. And then another guy said, what kind of music do you like? So I'm recently, this is all recent by the way, so I'm recently finding out it is kind of a cool way to find out what they are like too.
After you make that first initiate message, do you expect the guy to carry on the conversation, or are you just trying to look for like a back and forth?
A back and forth is good. I don't want to feel like I'm talking at you. I also don't want to feel like you're talking at me. There has to be a good balance, in my opinion. And I can keep a conversation with somebody who also can. I can be a good listener. What I can't do is talk at someone who can't give me anything back. I don't like that. I don't know how to do it. I feel like you're not interested, so why are we even here? Got
you. Sean, has it been that you found that you've been the one that's had to kind of lead more, or has it been a good like 50-50 for you, or something else?
So if I'm being honest, and everyone please don't hate me, but the females don't hate me when I say this.
I'm within striking distance.
But in my experience, so I tend to just kind of like swipe right majority of the people that I see, majority of the females I see, and then I kind of sort them out as we get matches. And for me, the ones that talk to me or want to like start a conversation and they can hold a conversation, I'm usually not interested in. Like I wouldn't say I'm not interested in, but like I just don't feel that initial contact where I would really want to hold a conversation with them. But then the ones that I do connect with, that I do want to have a conversation with, those are the ones that I have a tough time having a conversation with because they can't carry a conversation or they're looking for me to carry the conversation. So it's I'm stuck in that weird void where you see what you want, but you can't have what you want. But you got something over here that you can have, but you don't want it, you know?
Okay.
Is that, but the ones that you're saying you do want, is that just based on
Looks.
physical? Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I'm being shallow.
But if you are, I mean, but if you are.
It isn't all just looks,
Okay.
but you do, I mean, whether people want to admit it or not, you do have preferences of what you look for or what you want.
I agree.
And there's certain people that fall into that category or that bucket of whatever you want to call it of what you're looking for. I'm not saying that my category of what I look for is like a test tube. I mean, it's more of like a bucket, you know? So it's wide, it's open. But some people just don't make the cut. So, yeah.
You know, like, looks get you in the door. And I'm sorry. I'm tired of people saying, oh, looks doesn't matter. It's personality. In my opinion, looks matter. Looks matter a lot. Looks opens the door, all right? You know, and then everything else kind of after that, if it meshes, cool. If not, you can go elsewhere. But that's just me. Now,
Wait, can I?
oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Come on,
Okay.
come on with it, Britt.
Well, because I am one of those people who say looks don't matter, but I recognize they do. I, of course, have a preference.
What's your preference?
Ooh, on the spot. Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
What do you
Come
think was
on,
going to
Britt.
happen?
I
here?
already knew this was going to come up.
Come on, Britt.
So.
Is that the size, which you see right there? It was about a foot and a half, y'all.
I wish y'all could have saw
Her hands were like a
how
foot
the
and a half
hands
apart.
went out. It was like, so, and 12 inches of space.
I was like, jeez.
I'm ganged up. Send
Okay.
help. Send help. Put the hands down. I will admit, I prefer black men or I've literally dated every race though. Like I've dated a guy
Asian?
from Iran for a while.
No,
That's
no.
technically.
No, Asian.
No.
Like good at math Asian.
Oh my god. Oh god.
Yeah.
Do not entrap me. I'm a white woman. Like, do not entrap me like that. I have not. Iranian is, I guess, the closest. I dated him for a few months. Black, Peruvian, like I told you guys about earlier, Latino, Puerto Rican, Haitian, white. So I don't... Like, people always assume, like, once you date black guys, a lot of people in your life assume, like, oh, you only like black guys. And especially, like, white dudes, if you try to date them after that, it's, like, a whole weird thing. And that's really not. But I will say I have noticed, I told myself, I will not swipe right on a guy that doesn't have a bio. But if he's a really cute black guy, I will swipe right and give him the benefit of the doubt. And if he's just an average-looking white dude, I will be like, boy, where's your bio? And I will swipe left.
Boy, bye.
So, just to be honest, that, you know, I think I finally have to come to the realization I do have a preference. But I'm open to anything, anybody I have a connection with. So that being said, I do, of course, look for looks. But I do look at the bio. I do read the bio. And if it's a really hot guy of any persuasion and I don't like what it says, I will swipe left.
Gotcha.
I also have the guy I was recently with back in 2020 for like 4 months was not my type at all. And so going back to your other question also about what apps we use, I found him on Plenty of Fish.
Okay.
Plenty of Fish, you don't have to match. Anybody can message you. Mm-hmm. So at the time I was like, this is actually maybe beneficial to me because I never would have swiped right on him before. He was tall and skinny. And I don't like tall and skinny. I like kind of shorter, kind of like stocky, dad bod to buff dudes. Like that is kind of what that's my sweet spot. But we talked for months And he listened. He paid attention to me. He was consistent, right? He texted me every day. We'd talk on the phone sometimes. And, like, that is actually hard to find. And we did that for months. And so I was like, and I think I did.
Is that before you met?
Before we ever met in person.
Okay, wow.
He
nice.
lived in Baltimore. He didn't have a car at first. See? Lived with his mom, which is, I have 3 rules. Have a job, have a car, don't live with your mom. And usually I can't actually find somebody that has all 3. But he finally got a car. After all of that, I was like, you know what? I feel like I should give you a chance. And I do think I hurt his ego a little bit because I was honest with him. And I told him, like, you're not my type physically, usually. He was 6 foot, and he looked skinnier in his photos, so he actually sent me, like, a picture one day with his shirt off, and I was like, okay, you got, like, you're, like, skinny buff.
Was it just his shirt?
Just his shirt off, yes. The other pictures came later.
Yeah.
All right, we're good. Keep going. Move along.
You asked. So I maybe I'm not the only person who's like that. Maybe I'm rare. I don't know. But I do feel like looks, like you said, get you in the door, kind of like a resume. But then you have that interview, and then you meet somebody, and their personality can totally either turn you off or turn you on.
Okay. Now, you said something, Britt, a little bit earlier. You're looking for a husband.
I said relationship.
Oh, you're looking for a relationship. Got you. Hearing that. You're looking for a relationship. A short-term relationship, a long-term relationship. Define that a little bit more.
That's a good question. I kind of hate when people ask me that on the apps, like, what are you looking for? Because I think online dating makes that so weird, because normally if I'd meet somebody in person, I would get to know them for a while, right? Mm-hmm. And then maybe something would develop where I'd be like, oh my God, he kind of turns me on. Like, yeah. I want to see where this could go. But with online dating, there's these different expectations. So when I say I want marriage or I want a long-term relationship, some guys I feel like are kind of like, ugh, right? They shrink away. They're like, And it's not, I'm not saying I want it right this second. You know what I mean? And in fact, a lot of my friends are like, don't push, don't rush. And I'm like, I don't. I'm not rushing. I just want to get to know people. But I have to be on these apps to get to know people, because I go to the gym. Nobody talks to me there. I work at a brewery. Only weirdos hit on me there. Like, I hike, but nobody talks to you on hikes. Because I think a lot of times, you know, people are afraid to scare a woman off at the gym or wherever, right? And I just don't meet people.
Why don't you talk to people when you're out?
That is a great question. I'm not shy, so I do at times. I think if I find someone attractive, I am more shy, so I don't as much. And I don't know. I haven't explored why I don't. But I will talk to people all the time. I make friends all the time at breweries and stuff. Mm-hmm. At the gym, not as much. Yeah. You know, because everybody's there just to work out. But I just feel like people who've never been in the online dating thing, when they're like, don't rush it, don't push it. It's like, I'm really not trying to push people. I'm very honest with what I want. I'm very open and upfront about it. And I say, like, that takes time to build. Yeah. And I don't know if that expectation is always on both sides, you know?
Yeah. And Sean, so kind of a bit of the same question, because I don't think we hit it in our last episode. Are you dating just to hook up? Are you trying to find a wife? Like, what's your game plan, really?
My game plan is I am trying to find, you know, the person that I'm ultimately going to end up be with. But life's a journey. There's pit stops. You know, you got to see the scenery, stuff like that. So, you know. So that's the thing. I mean, like, I know some people that are very hyper-focused when they're looking for what they want. And that's great, because if that's what works for them, that works for them. But for me, you know, it's about the journey. Because sometimes I feel like there's certain things you have to do in your life in order to reach your goal, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because I think there's certain experiences you go through to be able to appreciate whoever that person or event is going to be for you. Because if you don't go through those experiences, you're not going to appreciate it, or you may not even get there. I mean, you may go somewhere else. I remember when I was younger, you remember probably when you were younger too, going to the arcades And playing House of the Dead, a shooting game.
Yep.
And depending on what you did in the game or what zombie you shot, you'd go a different avenue. And then when you died, you see this grand map, and it showed you how far you got and which direction you went. And I think that's kind of how life is. Depending on the choices you make and the experiences you go through, you're gonna go through different avenues and end up in different places, But if you don't experience things, then you're just on a straight linear path, and that's kind of boring. So, to me, I would say don't be afraid of trying things out of your wheelhouse, because you never know what you might find, you never know what you might like, and it might be for you.
Question, and I'm even hesitant to even kind of go here.
Do it.
Come with it.
Do it.
Why hasn't it happened yet? Why haven't you landed it yet?
I want to say for me, it's simple. The reason is simple. So I guess to break it down, so like I said before, I'll find girls that I'm into, but they're not into me. And then girls will be into me, but I'm not into them, or the timing doesn't work out. That they're with someone, I'm single, I'm with someone, they're single. Doesn't work out. So that's usually a big factor for me is it's just kind of timing, or they're just not into me in that way. But I feel that, it's like that one song, you dust yourself off and you try again. You just keep on trying until you find what's going to be right for you.
Now, me coming out of my divorce, one of the reasons why dating apps, I think, were attractive to me was we're all adults. We're all over the age of 30. I'm just going to put that out there. Yep. So the perspective that you guys are hearing are 3 adults over the age of 30. And we all have jobs.
30-year-olds.
We all have jobs, all right? So coming off of your job, right, unless you're working with a lot of different people, and now when you're listening to this podcast, this recording is post-COVID. People are working from home more often now. There's a lot of less social events, there's less meetups, less parties, or if you're partying, you're with your circle of people, like, who you know. So the allure of dating apps is that it gives you accessibility to people that you may not come across along your daily either work life or, after work kind of routine. So I find that to be extremely positive. I also think that is a hindrance on really developing something that can really go long term, because Britt, I can look at you, we can be, working out and everything cool. You do one thing wrong, King can go, F you, I got, 80 other people in the queue. It's not 80. Let me just be real. It ain't 80.
It's more like 90.
Let's go minus on that number.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys think that while it is a good thing in that it increases the accessibility, do you think that sometimes things just don't work out because at the first sign of any kind of red flag, poof, I'm gone?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I tend to accidentally ignore red flags from people, but so does Sean, apparently. I heard the story about the little drunk white girl, okay?
We're talking about you, Brittany. Come on. Stay on track.
My bad. That was me deflecting.
Listen to the podcast.
Right? I was just trying to get you listeners on the other episode.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, I agree with that. So the guy I just told you about that I was like not super attracted to at first physically, actually, we met on Plenty of Fish, like I said, and then after 2 months, unbeknownst to me, he got on the app or was still on it. I don't even know, because we talked about both being off of it.
Gotcha.
He got another girl and actually was like dating her as well for 2 months. Mm-hmm. And he told her later when she found out about me. Long story.
Wait, was he living with you?
No.
Oh.
No. Remember, he lived with his mom.
Gotcha.
So, it was like, why? Because I finally, in the past, I've been cheated on, and you asked him why he's, hasn't been there yet. The reason I haven't gotten there yet is my own issues of, things I've discovered through counseling and whatever. Like, okay, now I see why I've made all these decisions. Mm-hmm. So I'm ready now to, like, be a good partner. And I did all of those things with him, and yet he still didn't like, I guess, some of the things about me. So he went back on an app and found somebody else, but chose to keep both of us.
Ooh,
right?
Have your cake and eat it too.
Right. Ooh. So it was like, interesting choice there. But for once, I kind of felt like, you know what, I gave everything to this, so I don't feel bad. Like, I was, of course, upset. Like, you're stupid. Because I'm amazing. But, like, I knew for once I gave everything to, and it wasn't me. And it was like this click in my head, like, and I know I'm not directly answering your question, but I think you're right. There's a lot of people that's like, anytime something goes wrong, they're like, well, fuck that person. Can I cuss on this?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
This is rated M.
Okay, good. Fuck that person. I can find somebody else. And I guess I'm not that type of person. I would rather try to work it out and talk about my issues. And I think, you know, another guy gave me advice when I talked about it, unsolicited advice, and he said, well, maybe you pushed him too hard. And I said, then he should have been an adult and communicated that.
I like that. I agree.
And because I gave him the option at the very beginning, I said, you know, I'm not really happy with the way this is progressing. Do you just want to be like friends with benefits? And he said, well, does that mean you're going to go try to find somebody else? And I said, yeah. And he said, no, I want to be with you. So, like, I gave him the option.
I've never had that option
before.
I didn't know that was an option.
Hey, Sean, you want to be friends with benefits?
Let me check my schedule.
But I'm like you, King. Like, I like the honesty. I like the realness. Sometimes I don't love when it's directed back at me, but I recognize it and I appreciate it, even if I don't want to like it. Mm-hmm. You know, so I tried to give that out, and it wasn't given back to me. And I just feel like if people were more honest about their intentions, because maybe you guys don't notice as much, but as a girl, I do feel like a lot of guys lie about their intentions.
Can I interject for a second?
Ooh, yeah. Interject. With a capital, was it? I interject?
Yes.
Thanks. Because you can tell I was struggling. I appreciate that.
In my experience, when it comes to females, at least the majority in my experience, when they say, tell me the truth, they never want the truth.
Ooh.
And when you tell them the truth, they're like basically saying, why did you tell me the truth?
Yeah.
Like, because you asked for it, but they can't handle it. And I've told girls before, like, look, you want the truth, I'll tell you the truth. It's not going to be a bad truth, but you're probably not going to want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah.
And like, tell me anyways. I tell them, and they cop a fit.
Right.
They don't want to talk to me. I'm in the silent treatment, whatever it is. So
right.
if you say you want the truth,
right.
you got to mean it and be okay with what comes out of that person's mouth.
I agree.
Because that's going to be a deciding factor in whether they want to communicate to you later on about anything else, you know, down the road. Because I've run into that too. If you can't take what I tell you as the truth, and I'm telling you the truth, and you can't understand that, you can't process it, then I don't want to tell you anything else that I feel it might hurt your feelings, or you might feel a certain way about. I'm just not going to tell you. And then that's kind of on you, because you set that standard.
I agree. But do you want to be with a person like that?
No.
Exactly. So it's better to know up front and ahead of time. Because I have a guy I was with for 5 years at the very beginning. White dude, right? By the time he found out I'd been with more people than him and black dudes, it was an issue.
Oh, tainted.
Yeah. And he talked to a friend about it. And the friend was like, well, if you really like her, you have two options. You can let her go, or you can get over it.
Exactly.
He asked you how many dudes you've been with?
I think guys ask that sometimes, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I only ask that for, like, I know I'm not going to be serious with that person. Like, how big of a what is this chick, you know?
So,
and we were only like 25 at the time.
Sean, so do you think guys ask that as a disqualifier?
Sometimes. Not as an immediate disqualifier. Sometimes they want to hold it like as I hate this word, as a trump card.
He said the T word. Let's see if I can add a buzzer effect during editing.
Or an ace up your sleeve, because I'll be real, I've kind of done it before too, where a girl will tell me something. I don't have an example right now, but I'm like, don't really like that, but I'll hold on to it for later just in case I need a quick exit, you know? And I'm like, remember that time you told me this? Well, I'm out now. Bye. You know?
Yeah.
So it can be used against you. Gotta be careful.
Well, yeah, and it affected our entire relationship from there on out. And him and I are actually still friends, and we've talked about it since. But as you just said, I felt like I couldn't tell him anything after that. And it impacted our sex life bad. I remember one time.
Like less sex or just the sex?
Less sex. I lost complete libido. Like, I felt unattractive because at the beginning I was really trying to initiate.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like him backing off because he felt weird about it.
Mm-hmm.
And there were other things he didn't know. Like, King warned me, but I'm going for it anyway. I had a situation with two friends that I've known now for a very long time. They're now married, and we tried to have like a threesome thing, and
go on.
that is all you need to know. And I never felt like I could tell him about it. I met him through those friends, and how do you have a 5-year relationship with someone and they don't know that about you?
No, hold on.
You know what I mean? Or
did he ask you? Like, hey, you ever had a threesome before?
No.
Then you don't say anything.
Right,
That's
but
in
at
your
the same
past.
time, I'm very honest. I don't want to feel like I am being judged by you for anything. And it wasn't only that. It was also the, like, black guy thing. Because I remember I said, oh, my friend in college and he was like, I don't want to hear about it. Yeah. I'm like, but he was just a friend. Mm-hmm. Like, why is that? If whoever I'm with, I want them to know everything about me. And I want to know everything about them. Of course, we all have our secrets, our skeletons.
There's things that you kind of have to reserve. Yeah.
There are things, and that I get. But at the other, side of the coin, like, I wanted him to know that stuff about me. So then once I felt rejected by him, I put myself, inside. I closed my walls, right? Mm-hmm. And he was then trying to initiate with me, and I was like, I don't want to. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, why? I feel so unattractive when you do this. And like, now I know he was just trying to talk to me and I should have been more open and honest with him. But at the time I was young and didn't know a lot. And I was just like, you're not a good kisser, which he wasn't. And that is like a huge turn on for me, right? Like, I want, and he cried when I told him that. Ooh. And I was like, so once again, I didn't want to tell him anything else after that. Yeah. And it's just like, I want someone I can be honest with, and them with me.
Yeah, we all do. We want someone we can be honest with, but the thing is, if they can't handle it, then you gotta skip past that. I would say, don't be forthcoming with information unless someone asks about it. That's just how I carry myself. Yeah, you're not gonna know the deep dark secrets about me unless you ask about it. And even then, I still might not tell you, depending on how deep and dark that secret is.
Now I'm thinking of things to ask Sean.
I plead the fifth. Preemptively. But yeah, I mean, like, I just think that there's such thing as being too open and telling too much. Because, I mean, there should be some mystery there. And I think if it's something that someone wants to know about you, like, hey, you ever been in a threesome? They'll ask you, Or, hey, you ever been with a girl or 3 girls or whatever it is? They'll ask you. But if they don't ask you, I think that they don't want to know. And I'm saying it's because I'm kind of that way. I don't want to know about your past boyfriends at all. Not that I'm jealous, but, like, I just don't care to know about them. And I think it's also partly a guy thing. I don't want to have my mind wondering about how am I stacking up to the last other guys, how many guys were before me, like, would they do better than I was? Were they bigger than me? Were they smaller than me? I just don't care to know. It's not something I want to focus on. I want to focus on me and you and us going forward. So that's just me. So, I mean, how do you feel about it, King? I mean, do you want to know about previous guys?
I'm going to tell you right now, I personally don't care. I'm going to bring what I have to the table. If you rock with it, cool. Let's try this out. Let's do something. Okay, if you don't because I don't measure up to whatever it was that, you had prior or in the past, hey, that's absolutely, it's been nice knowing you. I'm not what you're looking for. Cool. Plenty of fish in the sea, that's my take on it. I have what I follow, and it was something that just kind of clicked with me, is the abundance mindset versus like the scarcity mindset. Meaning that, I'm not worried about if I'm out here dating and, how you view me, because in the end, to me, it's like, well, there's an abundance of people that are out there. So if me and you don't click, move on. Deuces. It was nice knowing you. That type of mindset has allowed me to really just not care. Now, I'm still giving my all. Like, I'm still showing up being me, you know, and kind of through counseling. So I had counseling before my divorce, during, and even still now. And I'm a huge advocate of counseling, by the way. I think that you'll kind of like discover things about yourself that you really just wasn't aware of. But a big part of that too is like accepting it, right? So for me, you know, it's just, hey, you know, I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm me. If that's not enough for you, all right, cool. It is what it is. Deuces. That's just me though. You know, I know a lot of people don't think that way, you know, and you know, that's okay. So, yeah. Brett, sex.
Ooh.
Sex.
Ooh.
So,
Bomb chicka wow.
do you guys bring up sex on the first date?
Nope. I mean, girls
I
can. I
believe you
don't.
said Brett.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding.
He said you got.
I'm
He
just
said you
kidding.
got.
I know. I'm just
Now,
kidding. I'm just kidding.
we didn't, I don't think. We didn't.
You would remember
Oh.
if we did.
I
Even
would
the-
remember.
Yeah.
The conversation's that good.
I would definitely remember.
Oh, the conversation. Oh, conversation.
Oh, you were talking about sex.
I was just talking about.
The act?
She
Yeah,
was
I
blowing
was
your
gonna say
mind.
you would remember. Okay, talk about it. I don't think we did. I actually just got in conversation the other night with a dude about this through texting. I hate it when a guy brings up sex too early because it feels like, and he didn't like this, but it feels like that's all you want from me. A joke here, and I know it's like a very fine line, right? And I love sex. I want to talk about sex. I want to make sure we're sexually compatible before we go down this road because it's important.
Got to test drive that car.
Exactly.
Before you buy.
Right? I agree. Like I'm with you. But if you bring it up too early as a guy to a girl, and maybe it's just me, I don't speak for all women, but it really starts to feel like you just mesh into all the other men on the apps who have done the same exact thing way too early. You don't set yourself apart. And it feels like that's all you want. And honestly, like, not to give out our secrets, and not every girl's this way, but
Share the secrets.
but like if you just get to know me and you talk to me like a human being and you say, hey, let's go out, like, and we at least get along, like, I'll probably sleep with you within the first, few dates or whatever. Like, like if the vibe is there and it doesn't seem like that's all you want from me, right? Like, it's not.
Better be careful. People gonna start looking for you
I
on
know,
social
right?
media.
That's why I was like, King, do not know.
They're like, all right, day 3, let's do something. You said it.
But like, I started watching Girlfriends.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that show?
With the black girl.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's on Netflix now.
Tracy Ellis Ross. Yeah, it came on Netflix. It was my nighttime show. I watched it almost all the way through. And I really relate to Joan, but she had this, like, I think it was like a 3-month rule.
It was a 3-month rule. Yep,
3-month
Joan.
rule. And everybody would kind of make fun of her. And it's like, I don't want to make fun of people like that at all. Because if that's what you want to do and you want to make sure. But
I think there'd be a lot less pregnancies. No, seriously, I'm dead serious.
You might be right.
If girls had a 3-month rule.
You might be right. But I don't feel like you can just say 3 months is... It's just like a timeline like that just doesn't sit right with me.
Well, what it is you're waiting to make sure the guy is going to be there. He's
Right.
not just in it for the sex.
Right.
And you obviously don't tell him you have a 3-month rule,
I think she did, but I can't remember.
Joan in the show did.
Yeah,
Yep,
Joan is a whole other, but I relate to her heavily, and I'm kind of sad because when I see all these like comments about it online, people are like, "Joan's so crazy." I'm like, "Oh my god, I relate to that so much." Yeah, but I get what you're saying, but how many times did she, and yes, I know it's a TV show, but I've also been there, like, how many times did she still get her heart broken because things didn't work out?
Exactly.
So it's like, I just feel like it should we are adults, as King said, like, it should be when we feel like doing it, as long as we're both on the same page and respectful of each other and it's consensual, we should do it.
Yeah. Can I tell a quick funny story?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
please,
I'm
Sean.
not this,
The guy who was responsible for my 12,000 views in 3.5 weeks. Please tell a quick story. Go ahead.
It's going to be very quick. Nothing like the last. Well, it's going to be a little crazy like the last one, but it's very quick.
3 parts or?
No. Just
Okay.
one quick part.
All right.
So where was I? I think it was in Denver. Yeah, I was in Denver for a work trip. And I think I was on Tinder, and I met this girl. We matched, and we started talking. And I was on there for like 3 or 4 days. And she's like, hey, you want to meet? And she was an au pair. I was like, sure, no problem. She was cute. I went out, met at a restaurant. We had food, whatever. And I forget exactly what she said, but she was like, hey, you wanna have sex? And I was like, I think I laughed at her at first. I wasn't expecting that. As I left, I was like, you serious? And she's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, let's get out of here. Let's go.
Check, please.
And like, that was kind of like one of like the longest Uber rides back to my hotel. 'Cause I was like, damn, can you drive a little faster? I mean, like try to do some things, you know. And we get back to my room, you know, and like we're starting to do things, and I'm doing my thing, and she's looking at me. All right, it's missionary, whatever.
All right.
And I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden she slaps me, and I was like, I just stopped, and it wasn't slap because she was upset. It was, I guess, her being in the mood. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I've never been slapped in my face before, and I was like, are you kidding me?
So
like,
you stopped.
Yeah, it killed the mood for me. Like,
Really?
because can you prep me first a little bit? Like, hey, you know, like I went a little rough, you know. I'm like, all right, cool, prep me, but those don't like just half hit in the face. So that was a weird story. So I think you should be careful about meeting someone and just like hopping right into the bed with them. You should find out about them a little bit, talk about sex, and find out, hey, I slap people in the face when I'm having sex when I'm having a good time. So it's good to know.
Oh no! So I was gonna say, like, I have to admit something. So coming from a marriage, and then I started dating like during the Me Too movement. I was a bit nervous and scared about initiating contact or intimacy with somebody, you know, after a couple of dates or whatnot, because it's like I'm hearing what's in the news and seeing stories, you know, of stuff that's going on, and it scared me, you know, because I'm like, well, what are we supposed to do? What's the rules? You know, Dave Chappelle had the love contract, you know, and in my mind, kind of hamster wheel turning, I'm sitting here like thinking, that's a smart move, you know. I think that, you know, something like that should be something that people should. So I didn't know really what to do coming out of a divorce and then dating and then being intimate. And something that I said prior to us starting the podcast is like, I'm also a bit naive. It's like, you know, if you feeling me, I would kind of need for you to tell me, King, I like you. Let's go have sex. And then I'm like, let's go. Outside of that, you know, coming from the Me Too movement, or not to say coming from the Me Too, just hearing about that stuff in the news, I was scared. I'm just going to just flat out throw it out there. I was scared to be the initiator, you know, even if you're giving me all the signs, because I just didn't know how to handle it. I didn't want to be in the news. I have a good job. You know what I'm saying? I like my reputation, and I just didn't want that to be something that could come back to just bite me in the ass later.
What you need is comment cards.
Comment cards?
Yeah. Once you finish, you know, say, can you fill this out for me and like tell me how I did on a scale of 1 to 5, and would you refer me to your friends? You know.
And you store that? Nice. That's fantastic, actually. Comment cards.
That's still reactive instead of.
Oh, speak on it, Britt. Yes.
Well, it is, right?
Yes.
But when you said that, I went ding, because I think that is as far as we got as far as like sexual talk. Because once you said, I remember us talking about that. Because I'm super into stand-up comedy. You were a stand-up comedian, and that was like, oh my God, I almost said the wrong name. Louis C.K., Aziz Ansari, who I'm actually a fan of, like all those people. And I do remember I think I recall us talking about that.
We did.
Yes,
yeah, that's a very good memory.
Yeah. And I actually, I mean, I'm a self-described feminist, but I think that actually protects men as well.
Ooh, I disagree.
If you, and that's fine. But if you ask for consent, especially as black men, right? If you date white women, then you are a little more protected. If you don't bring it up, then I could say anything against you, right? Or any woman could say anything against you, right? And like, I have been in those situations where stuff has happened to me and I didn't report it, and whatever, people can hate on that if they want to, but you know, that was my choice at the time based on what I wanted to do. I didn't want to pursue anything any further because of my reputation, and I would have to lose work, and then they wouldn't believe me anyway, right? So it's like, but I have a guy friend, who came over the other day, and he is a friend, but he kind of pushed things with me, and I said, you know, I told him later, I was like, I told you no, and I said, you still kind of tried to push. I feel like you should be careful to protect yourself. I said, I'm a very understanding woman, you're my friend, but other women might not be, and you should definitely be more careful, because I wouldn't want something to happen to you because you misread the cues that a woman was giving you, because I think men often see our cues as like coy and like playing hard to get, and it's a very fine, like, I do feel for you all, because it is a very fine line between me pretending like I don't want it and me actually not wanting it. So I
thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah,
because girls want to be pursued. I mean, let's just be real. They want to be pursued.
Yeah, I do.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean,
I like it.
Do you agree?
I like being. I can do either, but I like being pursued.
That's the thing. How do you know when a girl wants to be pursued or she doesn't want to actually talk to you? You know, that's that fine line. You gotta figure out. Hopefully, not the hard way. So, because you end up in jail.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else's girlfriend.
I'm glad you were able to make this funny, because I was like, fuck, I was looking at your face, I'm like, fuck, I just made this serious. And like, I don't know how to make this funny.
You know, hindsight being 2020, I had a relationship with somebody who liked the physical part, would say, you know, choke me, slap me. She requested that.
Did she slap you?
She never slapped me, and I don't know.
You should try it.
I don't know how I would have reacted if she would have started that off. But this person came, and like, for me, that's not my thing per se. You know what I'm saying? So to have it be requested, you know, and like, I just put out there, I'm a black guy. This person was a white girl. You know,
I've been there,
and I'm just kind of like, no.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's okay, do it. And in my mind, I'm thinking, Dave Chappelle, I should record you wanting to do this to protect myself. But in the moment, I was kind of like, okay. And, you know, she seemed into it, so I did it. It wasn't comfortable for me, and I'll just put it out there. Being put in that position now, I wouldn't do it because it wasn't comfortable for me.
Was it in the face?
In the moment. Oh, she wanted...
I feel like if you went to court, like you slapped some girl in the butt, you know, you'd be all right. But in the face,
she wanted to be choked. She wanted to be smacked. She wanted to be. She described things that she wanted done to her, and asked me to do it. And in her words, said, you know, it would really make me happy if you did.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
That was during sex.
During sex.
Would you have felt differently if it was, like we kind of talked about earlier, before sex, a discussion that you had, like, if she was like, hey, these are the things I like during sex, I want you to do them.
If she prepped me beforehand and we talked about it, then I can then choose to agree or disagree. But for me, I think beforehand, make me comfortable before that, knowing that this is something that maybe turns you on, you know? Cool. But to do it kind of in the act, like her just smacking you just in the act, or her telling me to do it in the act, I'm kind of like, I'm new to this, so I'm not sure if I should. And it was a bit of a mood killer. So kind of feel like it was a bit of a mood killer. But she persisted, so I did it.
Your boner.
But I have to tell you, I wasn't comfortable.
Got it.
It's a tough situation. I mean, like, I've been there before too, and I've had girls be like, you know, choke me, and I feel like I have a limiter, like, just kind of ingrained in myself from being a black guy and knowing what can happen. So I will, but not very hard. You know, it's still like, it's like a light choke. Hey, I'm here, but like, that's about as much as you're gonna get, because I'm pretty strong. I could probably choke you pretty decently. So I'm getting ideas.
Too late.
But you never, at least for me, you never want to leave marks, because that can turn into something else, into another demon or whatever, a monster that you don't want to go through. So for me, I never really choked anyone really hard, like barely anything. They'd be like, harder. I'm like, yeah, it's about the best I can do, And I just go with that because I don't trust it, Unless I'm like married to you, which I've never been married before, then maybe we can do that. We can go, a little deeper. But like someone I've just kind of met or someone dating for a little while, that no, we need more history for me to choke you harder.
I think that's a good point because I am that girl. I like a little bit of that. I don't want to be slapped. I don't like that. I have slapped. Sorry. Now I realize how that must have come across because I didn't. I know I didn't ask him first, and when you told me, I was like, "Fuck, that was totally what I did before." Fuck. But I do like a little bit, but because of my past relationship history, I don't like to be choked hard. And as you all know now, I date outside of my race, and so I've never really thought about that. I feel like I'm thoughtful in other ways. Like if someone is following me home, I will drive the speed limit where normally I go 10 over, but I will drive the speed limit so they don't get pulled over, right? Like I try to be thoughtful about some of those things, but when it comes to sex, I like what I like, right? And I ask in the moment because it's like that's when I'm thinking of it, and so this is kind of making me think like should have those conversations ahead of time. And I agree. Like, you definitely need to have that trust with someone before you introduce that. Because if you don't trust me, then I'm not going to call the cops on you and hide my phone your phone under the mattress after I dial 911. Then, like, I'm going to keep bringing it up. Then, like, I want to respect that. Yeah.
Britt, what are your top... I'm going to say top position. Top 4 things that you're looking for in a relationship. And Sean, be thinking about this because I'm going to ask you the same thing.
All right.
In a relationship?
From a relationship. Yep, in a relationship.
Okay. Definitely trust.
Okay.
Right? Because I don't want anybody to be with me if they don't trust me.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to be with somebody I don't trust. If I have to wonder about what you're doing, I don't want to be with you. And I don't want you to wonder about what I'm doing. Because I know I'm an honest, truthful, loyal person. And if you don't see that about me, then why are you with me?
Gotcha.
I don't like it. So trust, number 1. Number 2, sense of adventure. I have been with someone before who has never left this area, and it's just, that's not me. I didn't grow up here. I'm from other places. I've been lucky and fortunate enough to travel my whole life. Mostly in the States, but also out. So I can't be with somebody who isn't willing to try new things, isn't open-minded. I need that open-minded is better than sense of adventure, but it kind of goes hand in hand with me. Like,
I agree.
Be open,
Gotcha.
basically, to new experiences, new things. Don't be closed off.
Okay.
Number 3, communication. Like, we already talked about it, but I don't want to have to, like, pull things out of you. I want you to talk to me. I want you to talk to me about what's going on, how you feel, what you're doing, what you're doing. I want you to know me. I want to know you. Like, I want you to be able to communicate, tell me stories, whatever. Number 4. Oh, I didn't think about a number 4 yet because I always just do top 3.
Yeah, and I did that on purpose. Oh. Everybody goes top 3, but let's dig deeper. I mean, you are talking to a guy that was married. And every marriage is different, right? Every relationship's different. Marriage is a different beast, all right? So there's a lot of factors that kind of come into that. So, yes, 4. Give me 4.
I mean, I know. I was thinking sex, like right away. I was like, sex. But that ties into all the other things, right? Like, I want to be able to trust you so we have a healthy sex life. I want to be able to communicate with you so we have a healthy sex life. And be adventurous. I will admit, I'm one of those people, like, let's go on a hike and then you bend me over that boulder. Like, I want that. But that has to come with trust.
But the bears and the birds.
The bears and the birds will be fine. Oh, they've seen it all.
They can take selfies.
But I do think a healthy sex life is important. Maybe just right now in my life, and maybe that won't always be what I need, but I remember being younger and reading, like, when a woman is in her early 30s, she's, like, in her sexual prime, and I was like, oh, my God. I never envisioned that, and I was like, I'll never be like that. because I was kind of closed off sexually, and then I was like, and now I'm like, oh my god, is this just because of what I've been through in life, or is this actually true, or like a combination of both? Like, I want a healthy, fun sex life with a person too.
Got you. Sean, same thing, man. I need 4
okay.
things that you're looking for.
All right, so the first one, I agree with her. Trust for me is very important. Probably should be a little closer to the mic. So trust, it's very important to me. I actually physically look for someone that I look at them and I say I can trust this person, and I feel like they wouldn't lie to me or cheat on me, And I feel like there are certain people that exude that type of energy that you can look at them and say, this person, they're not about cheating, they're about trying to be something serious. And then there's other people you can tell they're players, the ones that are flaunting it, they're super flashy, gotta look good for everybody all the time, parts of their bodies hanging out of their clothes. Those you typically, at least for me, I typically don't trust them. They're nice to look at, nice to fantasize about, but that's about as far as it goes.
Okay.
So after trust, once again, to piggyback off of what Brittany said, I want someone who's outgoing. Trust me, I'm going to get that, we'll be good.
Copycat.
No, not just outgoing like you go out and do things, but it's one of those tropes that we all know about. When you ask your girl, what do you want to eat? And she's like, I don't know, whatever you want to eat. And then you're like, well, let's go here. And it's like, no, I don't like that. Let's go here. No, I don't like. So where do you want to go? I don't know. I don't like that. Be willing to, come out of your shell and tell them what you want. Tell them what you want to do. Let's do things together. Let's have fun, Don't always do the same things all the time. Number 3, someone who can take care of business. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even talking about sexually, because I've been with girls before, and it just blows me that they haven't grown up, They want someone to take care of them. I have to worry about, hey, did you take care of this one thing, or hey, did you take care of that? And I look into the future. I'm like, if we have kids, I need to wonder if you changed the kid's diaper, or if you fed them, or if you took them to school. I don't want to have that worry in the back of my head. I need to know that you know how to take care of business. So that is very important to me. And number 4 is probably gonna have to be sex. So. Let's just be
high five.
A healthy sex life is important because you want to be attracted to your partner. You want them to be the only one that that was right. You want them to be the only person that you want. You can look at other people and say, oh, that person's attractive, or oh, she's hot, but I am more than happy with what I have right here. This is perfect. This is what was meant for me. You can still appreciate other people, but this is mine. This is what I want, and this is what turns me on. This is what I'm happy with. So those are my top 4.
Kids, yay or nay?
Kids, you said?
Kids, yay or nay? Kids.
Yeah.
My Southern Alabama accent sometimes. Kids, Kids. Yay or nay?
Keeds, but okay. Yeah, it's yay. I do want kids, about 2 to 3. Depending on how rich I am, maybe more, but 2 to 3 is good. So,
How rich are you right now?
I wouldn't use the R word.
So if you're talking about people around our age, it is rare to come across somebody that does it.
Very rare.
Are you accepting if that person has a kid or 2?
I am. I think we talked about in the other podcast that I do put them under a harsher microscope.
Okay.
Because if you have a kid or kids, I need to know that you're, like I said, taking care of business.
Gotcha.
That you can handle your own. You may have been in a bad situation where the guy, he turned to an abusive person, or he cheated on you, he left, or there was a tragic accident, something like that. I can't fault you on any of those things. But the thing is, I just don't like, oh God, I feel like I'm going to get roasted when I say this.
Flame on.
There's single moms who have kids and just sit around and they don't do anything. They don't look for a way to better their lives or their kids' lives, I want someone who is able to do things with their lives and see the light of the next day before it actually comes, They're looking for tomorrow. They're looking forward to make tomorrow better. So if you have kids, you gotta be doing something and going somewhere. You can't be standing still for me. Because if you're standing still, it's not gonna work. I'm not interested.
Okay. Britt,
Oh.
kids, something that you're interested in? If not, are you interested in somebody that does have kids?
Ouch.
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 That's a
I was
long
hoping you
pause.
wouldn't bring this up. No,
I'm sorry.
I'm what they call, I guess, a fence sitter, leaning more towards child-free.
What's a fence sitter?
A fence sitter.
That's a new term to me.
Yeah, so a fence sitter is someone who might want kids, might not want kids.
Okay.
They're not sure yet. They're debating. And I'm on there's a subreddit for it.
Okay.
So I'm in there.
Are you on birth control?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I've been on birth control since like age 18, different types to try for, what's best for me.
Mm-hmm.
Also have my own condoms at home because you can't trust a
Oh,
guy.
that's like there's women condoms.
Well, there are, yeah, but
Yeah.
also can't, always trust a guy's gonna have his own.
True. Very true.
Um,
I've never run into that. Sorry to cut you off. I've never run into a female who has their own condoms ever. It always seems to be a guy's problem or a guy's thing you have to supply. And I'm just like, look, a lot of times, like, when I've run into that, like, I wasn't planning on having sex with you. Sure, I thought about it, but I didn't think it was going to happen tonight, so I don't have any. So why don't you have any at all?
People that I've ran across stay ready, and I love it. Now, also kind of coming from me too. So, all right, in the realm of dating, you've got, pregnancy and STDs. All right. So me coming out of a marriage, I didn't have to use condoms for 14 years, 12 years.
Bless
You know
your
what I'm saying? And, fantastic. So then kind of going into that realm of dating, that shit was new to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the hell is this? It's a complete different feeling. I will also go full disclosure, and if there's anybody that's listening to this that want to ask me questions, put it in the comments. You can send me an email. It's on my page. I'll talk about it. I had a vasectomy several years ago because I knew that I only really wanted one kid, and I'm not interested in having any more kids. So a vasectomy was something that was like important to me. Now, I don't bring that up on the first date, and it has also caused me to have had rejections in the past because it was women that, they wanted a family. They wanted their own kid. They found out that I had a vasectomy. I'm no longer interested. And that's fine. So that's also really another thing that you really kind of have to worry about. I never had to really worry about STDs because I had the same partner, Now, all of a sudden, that's a thing, And where we live, certain areas is known for having hot spots. Having things that you just really have to be careful about. So I applaud the women that are protective and ready. You know what I'm saying? Because from a guy like me, I never really had to think about it. So I might not have really carried condoms on me because I never had to think about it. It wasn't something that was on the forefront of my mind for a very long time. So it sounds like, you never really had the experience of, running across that a lot. Whereas Britt, you're saying like, hey, you're prepared, and it's so lame, but responsible.
I lied. It was one.
Okay. But it's just being responsible and making choices that, in my opinion, are just responsible adult freaking choices, kind of going into that realm. Because and this is a whole nother subject, because for me, family planning is important.
Yeah.
Because a byproduct of sex feels great, but a byproduct of that is you can create another life force out of it. You know what I'm saying? And that is a lifelong commitment, basically. And whether you show up or not, that's a whole nother thing. But I'm finding that people don't necessarily think about that, and that baffles me. Like if I were to be dating, I would want a partner that understands the responsibility of life and really what that means.
Well, and I think you asked if I want kids, yay or nay. And I will say, even though I'm a fence sitter, I've mostly leaned towards nay. And I also feel like that has eliminated some guys from my dating pool because they want kids. And that kind of sucks. But it is what it is, right? Yeah. We don't want to get 3 years down the road and we are in love and now it's like he wants kids and I don't. But that being said, I have changed maybe even in just like the past, I would say, few months-ish, year. That it's like if I found someone who was super responsible and I felt like would be an equal partner in parenting, I would consider having kids with that person.
Gotcha. Just
because, as I mentioned earlier, feminist, like I don't want to be that woman that I know so many of who are the sole caretaker because it's really not fair. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the only one who has to take off work when the child's sick and of course, like I would make that sacrifice if I had to, if, you know, depending on the person's job and whatever, you know, it all would have to work out and make sense. But I don't want to be just expected to be the one to do all the cleaning, all the laundry, all the cooking, all the child rearing while he does whatever he wants. And I know so many men, just through my friends, their husbands are like that. Yeah. But a lot of my friends are child free. Like friends my age, almost the majority of them are married but are child free and loving life. You know, and it's like, so I've seen kind of like the bad situation of having kids and like the good situation of not having kids. Gotcha. So it's like, that seems pretty cool, not having to worry about it. But if I found someone that I loved, I would also want to make sure that I spent time with them first before we did have kids. Yeah.
So, tough question.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
What would you do if your birth control failed?
Is a tough question. That's like a very tough question because I am pro-choice. I've always said I don't know if I could personally have an abortion. It just depends. It really does depend on when I found out and the person that it was with. Gotcha.
Okay.
Because once again, if they were a person who I'm like, why the fuck would I have a kid with you? Like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have slept with them, but like, things happen, right? We have desires, and I would probably do that. Because that is a permanent choice, and me being a child of divorce, like I would not want to put somebody through the same situation if I really didn't have to.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But that was a good question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sean coming off the top rope with the questions.
Right?
I like it. It's almost like he has a podcast that he forgot to tell me about.
Whoopsies.
Whoopsies. Well, hey, look, guys. This was fun. There are a myriad of things that we could cover. And so, Sean, you came back. Thanks for coming back.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
There are things that we haven't covered that if you ever want to come back.
I know. Like, I was all prepared to talk about the date that left me, like, 2 weeks ago in the middle of a date. We didn't even get to talk about it.
Do we have time for that?
You know what?
But, like,
I want to hear that.
Another time. It's not that great. But we got to come back.
You know what? Yeah. Let's tease the audience. It sounds like Britt has a phenomenal story. And, kind of like Sean. Like, Sean had his crazy dating story. Britt, I am going to have you back on. Yes. And you are more than welcome to come back. I had a blast. I can't speak for Sean.
I did. I blasted everywhere.
Yes.
Is that what I felt on my legs?
Everywhere. So, hey, guys, this was great. As y'all can hear, dating is just, there's a whole lot of different experiences. There's cultural aspects. There's so many things that's kind of wrapped into this. And none of us here can speak for everybody. But I respect the fact that Sean decided to come on and give his viewpoint and share his experience. And Britt decided to come along and kind of open up and share her experiences and things as well. And we should do this again.
Yes, I'm down.
All right. Well, hey, I never know how to end my podcast. So I think I might just make this a thing to where I just stop the recording.
Just say, boy, bye.
Boy, bye.